Hi, I'm Waddell Borg. And Earth Day, it's been really interesting this last few weeks, and when I woke up this morning, I read, I saw all the ads, Earth Day, Happy Earth Day, and all that. So, and I really appreciate the fact that people are recognizing it. And I was checking out, I have a kitchen window, and we have a lot of hummingbirds right now. And they're all they get up really early in the morning because they need that juice, that tiny little things that's still cold at night. So they've got to get their juice, really quick and to get motivated. And they're amazing, those wings just. Anyways, I was watching them a little bit, and their lives are so beautifully simple, and meaning that they feed, they create babies and create these nests and these sweet tiny little nests, and in comparison, our lives are pretty complicated. I mean, and at least it has a lot more variety, and also it seems like we have a lot more pressure in a lot of ways. And I was really grateful when I was watching the hummingbirds, and I was really grateful to just nature, because I heard a quote not too long ago, which is really a cool quote, and it said, Earth really doesn't need us, but we definitely need Earth. And boy, that is so true. I mean, it's amazing how much we need it. Without it, we just, we're done. And putting a day aside to give Earth and nature some recognition and some appreciation, it's a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong. But I sort of feel like we need to do that a little bit every day, only because without it, we've got nothing. And this last few weeks and the last few months, for that matter, and all over the world, with this virus, this COVID-19 thing going around, is that, people quarantine themselves and really, things have just been shutting down. Well, in the process, air pollution and air quality has literally, air pollution has decreased by anywhere from 30 to up to 50% in the city, especially in the big cities, which is huge. I mean, it's like it happens really fast. So what it shows me is that if we can make changes pretty quickly, and the end results happen pretty fast. So I was really impressed with that, and it's an interesting concept in terms of having appreciation for it's difficult to do it on an everyday basis, but going for a walk and just going outdoors, just go outside your door and check out the trees and the plants around you, and even if you live in a big city, there are still birds flying around. It's just that, it makes so much sense to just give it a little bit of recognition and appreciation, because in the process of that, I find when I do that, it actually it makes me feel better. I get sort of rejuvenated by that. So the concept of Earth Day it's a wonderful thing. I really I'm glad it got started. And I remember when I first kind of heard about Earth Day, and this was a few years ago, and I wasn't sure how well that's going to go over, because we have so many different camps of way of seeing things. You have liberalism, conservatism, you have thousands and millions in between, and I wasn't sure how it's going to go, because it's a bunch of tree huggers, making Earth Day and all that. But I'm so grateful that there were enough people to really create that and stick with it, because in the long run, we're all connected in this. We're all together, and we're finding this out with the virus. I mean, no one's immune to this, right? I don't care how much money you got or how powerful you are. You are subject to nature, and we're subject to planet Earth, and so it unites us. It gives us a purpose, and also it gives us a common ground and something to relate to on an individual basis, so that we really have the ability to know that not just do we need Mother Earth, but we also need each other to keep it alive and to keep it prosperous and to keep it healthy. So I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for Earth Day. But when I was looking out the window this morning, I go, look out that window every morning, Odell. And check it out. Watch what's going on and say thank you. And so that was a kind of a little bit of an eye opener for me, and I really appreciated it. So I started by playing one of our bass flutes. It's a spirit flute in the key of B. I mean, we just came out with this recently. So every once in a while when I play a flute, people ask, what are you playing? And I just wanted to play a little bit of a melody on our, speaking of birds, on the woodpecker flute. I really like our new woodpecker flute. I just love the look of it. Unfortunately, it takes us a long time to make, but it's really sweet. So, and here's what, this is its voice. Yeah, this was in the key of G. You know, actually we do make it both in all three keys, A, G, and F sharp. And I wanted to take a moment to really thank our flute community. I mean, my heart just is so touched by the amount of just wonderful feedback we got when we were able to give away flutes. You know, it's amazing. This whole thing that we're in right now, this crazy time, right? And it really brings out the best and the worst in us. I really see that. But what I'm so deeply appreciative of is that the vast majority of all of our flute community has just been so positive, and the feedback and just the appreciation and I don't know, just and the empathy and the care about, you know, making sure High Spirits keeps going, and thank you so much. Seriously, I mean, like, it really touches me. And I wish I could give you all a big hug, you know, and I'm sending a big hug to you guys. So, and it's been just been an amazing ride. You know, who would know that 6 months ago you was like going, gosh, this is coming up, you know, and we're going to have to kind of figure out how, you know, to deal with it. I was going to say survive, but the truth is we're all going to survive. That's not a problem. I don't see that an issue. But how to deal with it, you know, just kind of, you know, how to, because I know this is going to change our lives. It is. It's going to change everyone's life. All of you, okay, I'm going to speak strictly for me. I know that it's on a daily basis, I'm seeing things a little bit differently. I'm having to look at things a little bit differently. And Tara mentioned to me the other day, and she said, you know, it's really kind of cool that the Chinese character for crisis within that, because Chinese written language is primarily pictorial, but within that character that delineates crisis is also the character which included in that is for opportunity. And it's true. And I think opportunity to me means how do you look at things, you're forced to look at things really differently. And really you're forced to say, okay, now I can give up, I can just go ahead and hide in a corner and, you know, okay, you know, I'm done. Or, which is what the human nature will do, which is amazing how just we're so adaptable. We'll look at it and go, okay, well, what can we do? You know, how can we use our creativity to shift things? You know, to change our lives, to enhance our lives, and how do we do it in such a way that we are able to still feel good about ourselves and use it as an opportunity? And I've seen it. You know, one of my neighbors, she is she has an art studio and a gallery, but she mostly teaches kids, and it's been doing it for 15 years. And she's, when I first talked to her, she goes, I don't know, Dylan, I don't know if I'm going to survive this, because, you know, the kids used to come to me, and I don't know if it's going to work. And so about 2 days later, she said, you know what? I came up with these little kits, these little art kits, and I emailed all of my, you know, my customers and my fan base, and I said, look, I've got these art kits, because your kids, you know, all the kids are at home now, and these little kits, there are instructions and there's material in there. And she said, I've got such a great response to send them the art kits. And, you know, that's opportunity. You know, that's the creative process of not giving up and going, look, we're going to look at this and see how we can make this work. And there's a good chance this isn't going to go away for her. In other words, you know, when it's all over, I'm sure she'll have classes again and all that. But the parents, you know, they go, no, that was fun. You know, we had a good time. We'll do that on the weekend. Instead of watching the tube or playing some computer game, you know, we'll do that. So that is, these are real positive things. They're really creative aspects in terms of just shifting things a little bit. And I think all of us are doing that right now. And instead of, you know, there's a moment that we get to kind of go, oh God, this just sucks. This is horrible. You know, yeah, we all get that. And you get a moment of feeling kind of depressed and, you know, out of sorts and don't know what to do. And I think it's important to have those moments, because that's what motivates us to go, you know, I don't want to feel like this forever, so I'm going to change it. And to start processing and start figuring, okay, how can I change this? So, and I think we're all kind of in the process of doing that right now. But getting back to being grateful, thank you. You guys have been just amazing. I've got cards and emails, and we've been so grateful to be able to join all of you and make this an event and some solutions that we're working on together, creating music, you know, and that's what the flute community is. It's a music community, and music is so powerful. It is amazingly powerful. It has this tremendous energy. You know, sound is so, you know, there are quite a few sound healers, and music therapy, they call it. And I've heard some negative aspects of it going, you know, that's a bunch of, you know, new age stuff. And I have to say, I'm always a little bit of doubting Thomas in the beginning. And what I realized was that sound we know that sound can be painful. It can destroy. We know that it can be amazingly harmful. We use it in war. We use it in on the streets. If we're screaming at somebody, a sound literally can kill you. I mean, it literally, you know, they use it for torture. So and everything in on this earth has a polar opposite. So if it can destroy, it also has this huge power of healing. And one of the ways to see that is, you know, people go, it's harder to you know when you're in pain from something. If you're in pain from sound, you're going, oh my God, no, I don't want this anymore. It's a little harder to experience that in the healing process. And it's because it's a little bit harder to experience it. There is a lot of doubt around it. And one of the ways that, for instance, you know, radio waves. I mean, you know, before radio was created and invented, someone would describe a sound wave, and they're going, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's like, but they heard a radio, and now we take radio waves for granted. Like, yeah, there are waves. We can't see them, but there they are, and we can physically, you know, experience that. Well, same thing with sound. We can physically experience it, and one of the ways is music. When you hear, you know, when I hear, because this is strictly me at this point, if I hear something, and a lot of times I'll go for a hike and I'll put in some headphones and listen to a little bit of music, and man, that right song comes up, and I am just juiced. I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. And it changes my mood completely. And it just puts me in a really wonderful headspace. That's the power of healing in sound. That is, it can literally can change my mood. That's powerful. So I just want to recognize and give appreciation to everyone that creates music, and no matter how we create music, whether it's with a drum, rattle, as long as the intention around it is, fulfilling and hopeful and peaceful and positive, it will have that impact on others. And speaking of that, I am going to go ahead and play a F sharp, which is F sharp. I want to play a little bit of a melody because those last couple of videos I did, people say, well, why don't you play a little bit more? And I'm always a little shaky about playing more, but I'll do it. Let's see where it goes. So this is the key of F sharp. It's it's a different style of play. The beauty about these instruments is that, they are a musical instrument. They're a native flute, true, and most of us love that sound. I mean, it just touches our heart, especially that it soothes us. This really smooth, beautiful sound that, and in many ways, it imitates nature. In other ways, it really creates a mood that's very tranquil. But it is an instrument that can play pretty much anything. I mean, you can play, jazz, blues, classical, if you desire to do that. It has the capability. So it's a matter of the style that you like. And speaking of that, Steve Rusherwin, he has so many different ways of playing. I love that about him. He'll play more contemporary music, styled with that, or he'll play very traditional. Matter of fact, he's doing a live stream concert this evening at 4 o'clock on Facebook, and I enjoy listening to him because he really has the ability to just go all over the place with the flute, and I appreciate that. It sets different moods. It really teaches people that we can express ourselves in so many different ways. And one of the aspects that I love about the flute is that it's a melodic instrument that is so old. I mean, they found flutes in a cave. I think it's either in France or Germany. I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was in Europe, and the flutes were made out of bones, and they literally had it was a pentatonic scale. It wasn't to a key, but it was in tune to itself in a pentatonic scale, and those flutes were 30,000 years old. 30,000 years. I mean, when I think of history and I look at it. Roman times, Egypt, all those seem a long time ago. But 30,000 years, I mean, that gives us a sense of genetically how long we've been around, and also that music has been around so. Man recognized music as a beautiful, positive instrument and a way of communicating thousands and thousands of years ago. It's pretty fascinating to me. And I've always liked the fact that music has the ability to literally transcend whatever we're doing. It can change our moods, it can change everything about us, it can change the environment. You play it, the right music, the plants, they grow better. Play the wrong music to plants, not so much. So I just have a deep appreciation for all of us, because I know that one of the reasons that you're playing a flute or you're playing an instrument is because you're able, you can feel it, you can intuitively know it's a positive thing, not just for yourself, but everyone around you. So whatever you do, whether, like I said, the rattle, the drum, the flute, the nice thing about the flute is it's a little bit more complex. The rattle, the drum, and the flute, those are the most ancient instruments on the planet, really, the oldest. I shouldn't say that. Australia, because it's so isolated, the Aboriginal culture there, completely different. They never had a flute, they never had a drum, they never had a rattle. They had didgeridoos, very, very different. But the rest of the world, because there was communication, there was travel, there was trade, really shared those instruments. And the flute of all those three was really the most complex, the most melodic. So the drum is kind of very earthy, it creates that, that rhythm that really holds it down, and the flute on top of it, and same with the rattle. Those three instruments are just, they're a very basic musical instrument that those three particular avenues, I'm not expressing this very well. The drum holds down the rhythm, kind of keeps it centered to earth. The flute is more ethereal. It sort of plays the melody above that, and the rattle creates the rhythm as well. And it's sort of in between. So between the three, those ancient instruments sort of were the basis for creating all other instruments. It's pretty fun. Hey, one of the things I wanted to mention is that, high-pitched flutes, speaking of flutes in general, don't get a lot of attention, and unfortunately, I think a lot of people like the low tones because they're soothing. But keep in mind that, there are going to be times we're kind of excited about, like in the morning, yes, it's really juicy. So I brought one of our kestrels, and I just wanted to kind of demonstrate how fun they can be. In the morning, it's full of life and full of juice. Found a note in there, I just played, wow, where'd that come from? That's a really high-pitched note, I gotta find that again. So, if you ever want to play kind of upbeat music on any of the flutes, on any of the native flutes, including the spirit flutes, if it's based on a pentatonic scale, we make them in a minor key. A minor tends to be contemplative, real, kind of a little bit more moody. Where if you want to play upbeat music on any of the flutes, never close the bottom hole. So if you start a song and end a song without the bottom hole being open. Here's what it sounds like when you're playing pentatonic. Da 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 da. Now, if you never close the bottom hole, da 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 da. So it tends to be a little bit more upbeat. Try that; it's kind of fun. We are going to be releasing a flute that I just wanted to mention it next week, and it's been our 30-year anniversary. We've been making flutes for 30 years. Oh my God, that's I figured when I think about it, it just happened yesterday, and So for 30 years, we're making these amazing instruments, going through a lot of changes, a lot of up and down, and I mean, it's a constantly learning process. I gotta tell you, what I realized was if you ever think you got it wired, you're in trouble because then you're stuck. I mean, it's amazing when we get together and we kind of talk about, what are we going to do next and what can we improve. It is endless, the learning process. There's not a day that goes by that we don't learn something new. It's kind of exciting, really, when you think about it. So to celebrate the 30-year anniversary, we did create a 30-year anniversary flute. And we're going to be announcing it. We're going to be releasing it in Flute Talk in May 1st. So, hey, thanks for tuning in, you guys. I really appreciate it. Check out Steve Rushingwin's concert at 4 o'clock on Facebook. And I hope you have a great Earth Day. Go outside, go for a little walk, or, get a breath of fresh air. And my intention is to take my dogs for a walk today and just be super grateful to have a planet that allows me to be able to just be here and to enjoy the beauty every day of what's available. It's amazing to me. So I'm going to leave you with a little song on our spirit flute in the key of C, bass C. Have a wonderful Earth Day.